Hello, my posse. Hello, all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for coming into my living room today for this update. I know you've been waiting to see how me and my hubby are doing. So today I thought I would give you an update. I didn't want to do it on my wig video because we had too much fun, and we didn't want to talk about the coronavirus, that's for sure, although we did a little bit. But today, I want to thank you all. Thank you to all my new subscribers for joining my posse. We have a lot of fun here. We have a lot of chit-chat talks. We have a lot of positivity, and we have a lot about growing old gracefully. As you know, I'm 77. I feel like that I'm waiting for the to go off in the background. Anyway, today we're going to talk to you and fill you in on our battle with the coronavirus and how it's been difficult. It is something that you don't want, that's for sure, and I pray that you don't. I know one of my subscribers had said that they had lost somebody, and the hardest part is they couldn't be with them, and that's a tough one because, as you know, you can't even see them when somebody's in the hospital. You can't even go there. But today I have a special guest for you, who I have a chair for. I'll move over, and he is an authority on surviving the coronavirus. And I'm happy that there are really, to be positive, there are really a lot of us survivors out there. I would like to form a group all over the United States of the survivors and the things that go with surviving. And we'll see how much he'll talk. You know, my husband is very shy, and I'm the talker. It's perfect. It's a perfect 46-year relationship. He just and I just go blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my hubby, and I'm not sure he'll talk. I might have to talk for him, but we'll see. So hold on, we'll be right back. Look who I got, my hubby. He's an authority on surviving coronavirus, let me tell you. If it looks a little bit different to you, we actually shaved off his mustache during this home ordeal because I actually thought it would be less germs, you know, with he had that big thick gray mustache, and you know, he'd blow his nose and spit up and just cough or talk in general, and you know how mustaches get. So this is the second time in 46 years that I've seen him without a mustache. The second time. Bella cried. She was like, "That's my Papa." I said, "He's always Papa in the heart. He just don't have his mustache." But she cried. But anyway. So we're here today to tell you, as I said before, we are definitely, try to get us in frame, definitely coronavirus survivors. Him in the hospital, me at home. And we kind of think that we were infected somewhere around March 18th, 19th, 20th. We were doing a lot of shopping those 3 days. I know they were talking about stocking up, and so we were stocking up, but we actually had gloves on. It was before the masks, right? But we did have we had like winter gloves on, so we were running in the stores. And we had been to Sam's Club, and we had been to Dollar General. We had been to Aldi's. We went to Meijer, and some girl was fixing my glasses at Meijer, and she had a Kleenex buyer, and who knows. I mean, you don't really know how or when you pick this up, but we kind of think you kind of got sick. I kind of got sick 3 days before he actually went in the hospital. I started with a massive headache, and you know I've had these headaches since December, so even my doctor is wondering whether I had a touch of it in December, because nobody really knows that for sure. And he was deathly sick in December, and my daughter was deathly sick in December with just couldn't breathe, this horrible cough, high fever. So we don't, you just don't know whether it started in December. We don't know because we weren't really aware of it, I don't think, until like February or March maybe. So we were kind of out with our gloves on, no masks, of course. So we could have picked up anybody's spit when they were talking. But I remember this one lady at Dollar General when I was in there, and she was coughing, and I almost said something to her, but I didn't because I just moved past her. So we really don't know. So that was like March 20th. So I started with the nauseousness about, somewhere around the 20th, and I say this, the 25th. He started about the 24th or something with this cough.
A runny nose.
Cough and a runny nose and no taste, right?
Correct.
He couldn't taste food. And I said, oh, it's probably just your cold that you have that you can't taste food. And his nose was just running, and I was just like nauseous and headachy, and I don't know. I just thought it was, my doctor had put me on Levaquin because he thought I had a sinus infection because I had this horrible headache and my head hurt, my cheeks hurt in here. So I thought I was having a reaction to Levaquin with my nauseousness. So he was coughing a little bit. So I had called the doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, this COVID thing that's around, I think you better go have a COVID test because just to play it safe. So he had already put him on prednisone and Levaquin because of his chronic bronchitis, and he gets pneumonia a lot. So he has already started his dose of that. So we went for our COVID tests March 26th, and it never came back because back then, COVID tests were taking forever. So we were just waiting. But they wouldn't do one on me because he had the symptoms of a cough and a little short of breath and a little bit of a temp. But I had actually no symptoms. I told him, I said I had a bad headache. I had very nauseous. They went, oh no, that's not COVID symptoms, So I didn't get the test. He did get the test. So that was March 26th. And March 27th, 28th, we were just going along. I was still getting more nauseous and more nauseous. And he was coughing. And I remember March 31st, about 9 o'clock, he started to...
About 1 o'clock.
Yeah, but 9 o'clock he started to cough, and he was like, gosh darn, this cough at night, I can't stand this, that it always coughs at night. So I told him, I said, well, go take your medicine, take your cough syrup, and go to bed. So he did, and then I, had my nauseousness going on, and then I went to bed, and about 12:30 in the morning, he got up, and he was shivering to beat the band. And uncontrollably shivering. And he had gotten that symptom probably like a week before, like 2 or 3 nights in a row. I'd see him come in the room at 5 o'clock in the morning with his hood up and his sweatshirt up, and he was freezing, and he turned the furnace up, and I was like, what's that all about, and he couldn't sleep. They were his symptoms at the beginning. So then March 31st, he got up, like I say, it was April 1st now, and I had to call the EMTs because he couldn't breathe. He could not breathe. I mean, how did you feel that night?
I felt like that was my last night.
Yeah, he did. He felt like he was going to die, and that was his last night. So I called the EMTs, and they were over there standing by the door like they didn't want to come in. And the EMS or EMTs, I don't know, I guess it doesn't matter. But they were like, well, has he been exposed to COVID? And I go, well, he had the test, but we don't have it back yet. Anyway, they did come in, and they were trying to get him to do his inhaler, and he couldn't even get it up to his mouth. He was shaking so bad. So they finally came over, and they looked at him, and they took his temperature, and it was like 105. So they said, yeah, he's coming with me. He's coming with us. And I was like, what? So I said, can I go with you? And of course, that was the worst part because they said no. I couldn't go. Because of the COVID, I couldn't go in the ambulance or nothing. So I was left here at home. So that was April 1st, really, because it was after midnight, and I was on with my daughter all night, and we were hysterical. He called when he got to the hospital. He said he felt better because he was on oxygen. And next thing I know, Gina had called because her girlfriend works at the hospital, and they had called and they said, I don't know, he's not doing so good. So they had him in ER and they moved him up to ICU, and he was on 15 liters of oxygen. For all those you know what liters are of oxygen, I know Kathy does. But they had him on 15 liters full face mask of oxygen, and he still couldn't breathe. And they didn't even have time to call us. They ventilated him right away. And it was just, from there, it was just absolutely devastating. Do you remember anything about that?
Well, I was on a ventilator for 8 days, and he kept me sedated for 8 days to keep me calm. And there is things that went through your mind that, you know, your mind starts to wander, and I didn't know what was going to happen after that until they actually pulled me, after 8 days, pulled me out and put me in an ICU room and pulled the tube out. And that's when they said that, you know, we're going to monitor you real closely, but...
And you were what? I'm going home.
I'm going home.
Yeah, he was calling me like, and I'm home here sick. He didn't even know it. And I was like sick as I don't think I've been sick in all my years of on this earth of having flus and having colds and various things. I was never that sick. So he's calling me going, I'm coming home. I'm coming home for our anniversary. And our anniversary was April 20th. And he had a goal. When he went even on the ventilator, he was telling the nurses, he was writing, I'm going home, April 20th. And they were like asking me when I would call, what's April 20th? I said, it's our 46th anniversary. And they said, well, he thinks he's coming home. And I was so sick, I thought, I mean, I was glad that he was coming home, but I thought, how am I going to take care of him? I can't even take care of myself. I'm so sick. I mean, and, you know, it was a good thing because St. Joseph Mercy Hospital here, which is a really good hospital, they had, now they have a lot of FaceTime for these COVID patients so they can see their families. So I did get to FaceTime him while he was on the ventilator. I had to do all the talking, but I had to get ready. That was the biggest thing. And I had to look like I wasn't sick, and I had him full makeup, and the nurses were going, oh, you're all really made up, aren't you? And I was like, yes, I am. I was like, well, as I was talking to him, I was like, oh. So, you know, it was good. It's a good thing that we got to FaceTime. And then when he got off the ventilator, we were able to get his phone to him. Gina's girlfriend, Nurse Katie, who we love, she make sure that, you know, he got his phones and everything. So he got his phone, and I don't know, he took a picture of himself actually, and he sent it to me on the phone. It was really kind of funny because I looked at him, and I mean, he didn't look bad. He had a beard and his mustache and everything, but he had this shirt on. And I sent it to Gina. I said, look, your dad doesn't look too bad, but look at his shirt. And she goes, oh my God, how did he get a hold of that shirt? Because that shirt was like dirty from when they took him out, you know, in the ambulance. So I called him and I said, how'd you get that shirt? That's a COVID shirt. Throw that shirt away. And he was like, well, I don't know. It was here. I've been wearing it. I go, throw that COVID shirt away. So he did. So that was like, me and my daughter got a kick out of that because we were like calling the nurses like, Dad's got that COVID shirt on. Get that shirt off of him. So he thought he was being real cute putting the shirt on and taking a picture. But yeah. But he was, I think the thing, he was, and you have to, you know, I think the biggest thing too with COVID is I think you have to maintain a positive attitude. And of course, you know, you've got to have a decent immune system going into this. And I think, you know, we eat well at home. I think our immunity must be pretty good. We have not ever done a whole lot of vitamins, but I make sure, you know, that we eat the fruit and the vegetables and the protein and all that stuff. And I think with a positive attitude, he survived. And it's amazing because they had said at the hospital he's going to be 75 the end of May. I married a youngster. I don't know why I married somebody younger than me. But
Keep up with you.
Yeah, keep up with. But so anyway, he they had said to him in the hospital that, you know, he's 74 years old and he's got COPD bad, he's got atrial fib bad, and I mean had everything that he was not going to survive. So I just say, you never give up hope. You keep fighting. You have a goal, and you stick to the goal. And he's proof positive of somebody, a senior citizen or a man of a certain age, that he survived. And I think it's just a testimonial to all of you. If you get it, be positive, don't give up, do what the doctors tell you. His best friend here is his pulse ox here, because he is on oxygen and he has to try to build up his lung capacity. He can't really do a lot of things that he normally could do without his oxygen on. He's okay sitting here, but that is his best friend. And the other thing that's his best friend, if you know somebody that has it, is this spirometer here, because that has really, really helped his lungs. And you know, he doesn't like being on oxygen all the time, but you know, it might be something that he's going to have because of his COPD. We're not sure yet. The doctor said that it'll probably be
2 months.
2 months before we really know the damage and before we really know what the normal is of our lives. And me, I recovered. I would say I'm 98% better. I still have a little, you know, where I have to pant and sit down a little bit. Other than that, I still get a little queasy now and then, but really my headaches have, you know, gone. So I think I'm probably good. But I'll tell you, those 2.5 weeks that I laid here in the house, it was pretty scary. Being alone, throwing up, if I can say that, just headache awful. They would keep giving me, my doctor, antibiotics, and they were making me worse because antibiotics don't help COVID. I mean, you can take all the antibiotics you want, they're not going to help it. They made me worse. A couple of nights I don't even remember what happened. I just remember that opening up all the doors in case the EMTs had to come in, you know, and I put my makeup on, put my wig on. I said that before, just in case they had to get me. My mom did that. Remember my mom, she had her first heart attack at 80, and my mom's been gone since 2001, and she was 90 when she passed. So when she was 80, I was in my 40s, and I remember she had a heart attack, and I lived an hour from her, so I called 911, and she was really mad. So me and I think my daughter, or were you there too? Or just me and my daughter?
It was Gina.
Me and my daughter went racing down to the other side of town where she was to the hospital. And when we got to the hospital, the EMS were just actually coming in. And she looked at me, and the first thing she said to me is, "Babs, go home and get my makeup and my earrings." And me and my daughter were like, "Mom, you're having a heart attack." And I go, "I'm not going to go home and get let's wait and see what happens." She says, "Just go home, it's in the drawer, get my big round earrings, get my makeup and my lipstick, go." And I was like, and I remember saying to my daughter, "Oh my God, I can't believe her. Is she crazy?" So I think my daughter left, or I left. I think my daughter stayed with her. I went home, I got her earrings, and I got her makeup so she could have her lipstick. And I said, "Mom," she goes, "Well, those EMTs were really cute." And I'm like, "Seriously, Mom?" And she ended up having a mild heart attack. I mean, she came home, thank God. But I thought, oh my God, I said to my husband when I got home, I said, "Who does that?" And here I am, 77, sick as a dog, with my makeup, my blush, my wig on. Well, you know, I was getting a lot of FaceTime calls too from family, which was wonderful, but, you know, I didn't want to look like death warmed over, so to speak. So, but we survived, and I tell you, I made some notes here so I didn't, in case you wanted to know. Oh, and so he went 2 weeks ago and had his COVID test because he has to keep being tested every 2 weeks, and he's still positive. So we go back on Monday and we're praying to God that he's negative, because being negative, we can at least be around the grandchildren. We can have sleepovers in the house. They can come into my home, and we don't have to wear masks. So we're kind of non-contagious. I myself had the antibody test because I really was hoping that I had the COVID, but I wasn't sure. I mean, people were saying, maybe you just got the flu. And I was like, oh no. So I went and had the antibody test done, and mine came back positive. So that means that I have antibodies for the coronavirus in my system, which showed that I have had the virus. I'm building up antibodies, but it's positive. So if it would have came back negative, that would have been worse, because he came home positive, and if I would have been negative, I could have caught it and been really even sicker than I was. So I was thankful to the Lord that I had it at least, and I wasn't sick for nothing. But I could have, started in December, because we were all really sick in December too. Nobody really knows. And right now today, the antibody tests show that you've had the COVID, you're building up antibodies for it, and that you cannot get it again, or if you do, it'll be a milder case. That's today. I'm going with that today. I mean, it could change tomorrow, like everything. Now they're saying they don't know how long the antibodies will stay in your body to build up for the, I don't know. They change every day. But right now, I feel positive that I had it. I know I did. And we're just hoping now that he's negative on Monday, because if he's not, we're quarantined again for another 2 weeks, and he has to keep taking them until it leaves his body. But I mean, he was that bad. So I think it's a good thing that we're here, and we and that we survive together. Yes.
I wouldn't wish this on anybody.
No.
The nurse told me I was 6% of the only one that survived.
As bad as he was.
As bad as I was, with the conditions I had.
Yeah.
So never give up hope.
Yeah, don't ever give up hope, because even if you're home and you're sick, I was nowhere near as bad as him, because being on a ventilator is tough, and we just thank you too for all your prayers, because I don't think.
Thank you for your prayers.
I don't think we would have survived without prayer. I mean, all you subscribers have been praying. I told him every day when I talked to him on the phone, Denny, there's some subscribers of mine in Texas and I mean, Canada and Indiana, and I don't even know. I mean, you're all over the United States and beyond. And the prayers that you were doing, the prayer groups that you were doing, we felt them. And he even said, that in the morning sometimes he felt like somebody was like pulling him out of bed, like he had to get up, he had to move. And I mean, I think that was prayers. And I think, was it Elena that had a prayer group going at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we all were kind of praying together, and I was with her, and she is in Texas also. And she had a prayer group going, and she's everybody that she knew at 10 o'clock. And he said in the morning is when he could feel like something telling him to get up. And he fought it, and he got up. And they were surprised at the hospital even that he was off the ventilator, and he was doing as good as he is. And a little bit of oxygen goes a long way. And if that's what it takes to heal his lungs, then so be it. And if he has to have a squirt here and there forever, it's fine, because at least I got him back. And I got him back for our anniversary. He came home April 17th, so he was there 17 days. And I picked him up April 17th at 3 o'clock. And on the 20th was our 46th anniversary, and my daughter and my grandkids had Outback steak dinners delivered to us. We had candle lights here, and we managed to celebrate our together. And he was bound and determined he was, and come home, and he did. So we're happy to be survivors. Don't give up hope. Stay positive. If you feel sick, stay home. If you go out now, wear masks. I mean, wear gloves if you have to. It's funny, like when I go to the store, everybody's got that round ball of, you know, the coronavirus that they show on TV. I hate that thing, that round ball with those red pegs in it. My son made me one from Arizona. I was like, oh my God, but everybody looks like they're covered with this virus, and everything I touch, I mean, I go to the back to get salad dressing, or I put my gloves on and I pick out oranges, and what I touch, I put in the bag, and I come home and I wash everything, because I can go out now to the store with a mask and gloves on. I don't stay in there long, but I'm allowed to go in. And the people in there that don't have masks on are just, I mean, I want to go up to them and say something, and he always says, keep your mouth shut. You don't know what they're like, and you know, on the news. So I keep my mouth shut, but I just give them the Italian look. Like, why are they in there? I mean, I want to say to them, you know what it's like to have coronavirus? You need to wear a mask. I was like,
just don't come out and see your husband.
yeah, he says, tell him to come see your husband. Yeah, that's right. So that's our story, and that's our survival, and we're very, very glad to be survivors. And
I would ask you if there's any questions I can answer, but
oh yeah, well, you can put them in the comments below. If you have some questions that you want to ask my husband Denny, or you have some questions about anything, symptoms about anything, put them in the comment box, and I will answer them for you. You know, I answer all my comments. If I miss one here and there, I apologize, but I really try to answer all my comments. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask about our survival, or about anything that we might have missed here, please ask me, and you know I will get back to you. But I'm telling you that we're sitting here today because of all of you, and I am so grateful to be a YouTuber and to have this journey. I didn't think that I would need so many prayers on this journey. I thought it was just going to be a little fun, positive channel that I have, but I'm telling you, God must have put you all in my life, because we're both grateful.
so am I. Thank you.
He's very grateful. So I thank you, and let's pray that now that his test is negative, so I can pick up my grandkids and hug them and kiss them and have a sleepover. We're so excited for our first sleepover. It's like having 2 new babies. And I'm sure that all of you that are isolated, you know, feel the same way about your grandchildren, and it's a tough time. But you know what? It's gonna flatten.
Takes time.
It takes time.
Patience.
Mm-hmm. And I think if you open up stuff, that's my opinion, too soon, you're gonna open up a new can of worms again. And trust me, you think you're isolated now. It's going to be worse if this picks up again. In the social distancing, you know, I always say, and I have said, I would rather be 6 feet apart than 6 feet under. And that I can take. I still see my grandkids in the driveways, you know, 6 feet apart. I can probably hug them a little bit more now than him, but I do wear a mask. And my daughter also, by the way, when I was sick, she was sick. She was home. She was taking care of me. She was so worried about me. She kept texting me. And some nights I was so sick, and she would be texting me, Mom, are you okay? And I didn't even want to answer. I was so sick. Everybody was like texting me, and I was so sick I didn't want to answer, but I'm answering. And I knew if I didn't answer her, she would have the police here on a well check. So I had to answer her. So she had the same symptoms as me. We didn't get short of breath. Either one of us had a cough. We just had horrible headaches, nauseous, vomiting, and she had the same thing as me. So she had the antibody test done also, and she tested positive for antibodies, and she had the virus. And I'm glad, because she works for the hospitals, and she also works for a suicide prevention center here as a social worker. So I was grateful, kind of praying that she was positive and that she had it, because that left her wide open. to get the virus. And being a single mom, I did not want her sick. So I love you, my darling daughter, for taking such good care of me when you were so sick. And she was the one that was getting all the updates from the hospital on his chest x-rays and things. I was just talking to him. She was giving me the updates. We were kind of balancing that out. So thank you everybody for coming, and thank you for your prayers. And we hope that in a couple of months, I'll be sitting here watching him cut the grass. And I gotta say, you know, he came home. I'm fattening him up, but fattening him up, I'm fattening myself up, which I didn't mind gaining a few pounds because, like I said, I lost 12 pounds. He lost 25 pounds in the hospital. I mean, when he came home, he was like skin and bones. And they said that he had lost a lot of muscle mass being in the hospital. So I've been playing Nurse Babs. That's my other title. I know I'm Sheriff Babs. I know I'm Barbara. Excuse me, now I'm Nurse Babs because, you know, we have to take his vitals twice a day. In fact, the bad thing about it is when he was being released, he called me up and he says, well, I'm coming home at 3 o'clock today. And I was like, what? And he goes, yep, I'm getting out at 3. And I was like, what? I didn't even know what I was going to do with him. I was just coming off from being sick and I was still a little, you know, off. And I picked him up at 3 o'clock and I was texting my daughter crying. I said, I'm so happy to pick your dad up, but what am I going to do with him? I don't know. Nobody called me from the hospital to say, hey, expect this, expect that. I didn't know nothing. And as I'm crying and I'm waiting for him to come out, I get this call from this angel who was a home health care nurse who said, we're coming out to take care of him and monitor him for the next 3 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, she was an angel that dropped in my lap as I was waiting for him to come out the door. And they were here the next day setting up. I have a little iPad in the bedroom, a blood pressure cuff, his pulse ox here, his temperature, and we have to do that twice a day. And if you don't, that sucker keeps beeping until we do it. It doesn't, you can't shut it off. So twice a day we do his vitals and all that to make sure that, and you have to ask. They
come out once a week.
They come out once a week physically to check him. So it's been a godsend for me. So my Nurse Babs goes into disinfecting and cooking and cleaning and changing sheets every night because I have to, and I'll probably continue to do a lot of stuff that I never thought I would have to do, but it's fine. So thank you all again. I should do this. Hold on. I do. And get my wind back. So we thank you and we love you and we appreciate you with all our hearts, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you. Bye.
Bye.